Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do kind of a weird video. I am finally going to try Kylie Cosmetics. I've never used anything from the brand. Nothing. Zero. I got this palette on sale this past year, and I think it was from her previous Halloween launch. I don't think this launched last October. I don't know what she did for last October. I think it was, anyways, I think this palette is 2 years old. I did buy it not that long ago. I did get it on sale. We're going to test it out, try it out, all that stuff. If that sounds interesting, stick around. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, and let's jump into the video. Okay, I'm going to get out a couple of things and we'll chat briefly. I'm going to get out my glitter glue and eye primer and all that. I've been interested in Kylie Cosmetics since the brand launched, and a long time ago I was going to do a full face kind of a video. Decided I didn't feel like spending the money to do a full face. Never did it. And I've been looking at palettes. Every time she launches something, I look at them. I'm going to put a lip balm on too, just because I don't have anything on my lips. Let's use, since we're doing a kind of a Halloween themed palette, I'm going to use my pumpkin spice lip balm from Milani. Nothing ever grabbed me, and I feel like her palettes are overpriced. I mean, a big chunk of what you're paying for is the brand name. Because, fun fact, if you didn't know, Kylie initially, when she first launched, I don't think she still uses the same lab. She was using ColourPop's lab. So her lip kits, her eyeshadow palettes were formulated in ColourPop's facilities, and they were producing her stuff. I think as she's grown, she's, you know, using her own facility now, I would assume, just because of what the brand is worth. I'm going to prime both of my eyes. We're going to use the Gerard Clean Canvas. This is my favorite primer. If you don't want to spend the money on this, I think this is about 10 bucks. You can use a concealer. I mentioned that in all of my videos, but I like this one. I actually repurchased it during Black Friday. I mean, I have quite a bit left, but I do have a second one that I bought. I've just been, so many brands have gone out of business. I was worried like this would be one that, you know, could go, especially because like Dior no longer has a brand. Anyway, I repurchased it. But what I was saying, I think Kylie's stuff is always, you know, it's expensive for what it is. I do see it on sale quite a lot at Ulta. So, I mean, there's been times where I've thought about picking up, just looking for my towel. Sometimes I get too much. I've thought about getting, you know, blush and highlighter and stuff at Ulta, just because they do put her stuff on sale quite frequently. I just never have. Long story short, this palette, I think, is still on sale. I think you can still buy it. This was one of those collections that just didn't sell out. There's still stock hanging around. Some of her launches, like her Grinch one that she did at Christmas time, around, I think it was that same year, maybe the year before, like that sold out. So I think it just depends. Anyway, I was able to get this on sale. Would not have paid full price for it. I think I even had a coupon code, so I think it put it around the $20 mark with tax and shipping and everything. So I'm going to put my concealer away and then we'll jump into the eyeshadow. My brushes are all dirty. I'm going to use a color switch to make sure we're clean. I'll show you the inside of the palette. I mainly bought this for packaging. Let's be real. I love horror movies. It's Nightmare on Elm Street themed. And here's the inside. I think it's funny that this could easily be like the Rudolph palette. It's very, very similar color story to the ColourPop Rudolph palette. You've got, you know, gold, some tan, some red. I don't think this is a pressed glitter. I don't think I've even swatched this. So let's swatch a couple shimmers. This Springwood High Shade, it is a pressed glitter, I think. Yeah. Okay. Either it's super chunky. Okay, no, that's definitely a press glitter. So I did not know that this had a press glitter. That's not a deal breaker for me because I use glitter. Let me look at, what does this say? I'll be your nightmare. I'm not going to swatch the whole palette just because this is an older palette. These definitely feel a little drier, but we have established that this is 2 years old. I'm going to do the red. What is it called? Come to Freddie. And then I'll do the Elm Street shade, which is just a champagne. They're not swatching bad. They definitely, the shimmers have all felt a little dry, but like I said, this is an old palette. So there's the, probably what I'll use for brow bone highlight right there. Okay, just trying to get an idea of formulas. Like I said, I've never used anything from her. And like I said, I did know that she was using ColourPop's Lab in the beginning. So I think because I was buying ColourPop, I was like, why am I going to spend, you know, X number more dollars for basically the same formula? And whilst I do think she is making her own stuff, I'm going to say, just looking at it, this looks like a ColourPop palette in the formula. ColourPop's formula actually feels creamier, at least the shimmers. Now, granted, I do realize this is 2 years old, but I have ColourPop palettes that are like 6 years old and they're still creamy. So this just hasn't aged the greatest, I will say. The pigmentation is fine, but they definitely feel dry. Now, you'll have to let me know if they always feel like that. They could. I wouldn't know, obviously. So let's see. I don't know. I think I want to use the green, but there's only one green. So I'm not sure. Let's go in with this green and Gonna Get You, and then I might blend it out with either He's Coming or Alive But Dead. I just, red, like this red metallic is not going to look good on my lid. I've had issues with red metallics and they just look weird on me, I feel like. So we'll go in with the green, which was my original plan. It's weird that there's only one green. I feel like she could have done two, especially because there's like 3 light. There's a tan, a peach, and like a really light beige color. I don't know. I feel like there could be, and it could have been another green in here, but that's just me. I'm just using, this is not an E25. Normally I use like an E25 from Sigma. This is from Do Color, very similar in shape and performance to a Sigma E25. And I'm just putting this in the outer corner. I didn't set my primer just because I don't tend to do that. I like the most impact from a color. And using a wet base is gonna give you that. This isn't so much a tutorial as it is me just trying the eyeshadow, so you can kind of see what the process looks like if I was doing this without the camera on. So I'm going to put that down. I don't know if I'm going to blend it. I may. That's the initial. I didn't tap in very hard. Am I getting fallout? Not really. I'm not digging in super hard either. Just enough that I can get some product up. But I do have to build this up. And I'm not going in like trying to harp on this brand because I'll keep this even if I don't like it. Probably for packaging mainly. I like horror movies, so I like having horror themed makeup. It just makes me happy. And this is something that I will pull out probably during October with all my other Halloween palettes. It's not a bad palette. I am able to get it there. There's definitely some building. I'm going to go in. I have a small blending brush. This is a Luxie. I don't know if I want to go in directly with this. We'll just use this in the crease. I do have, excuse me, one that's a little bit smaller than this, just because my eyes are small. I don't have a lot of surface area. You can definitely see the color difference between what we ended with in the corner and what we're working with here. This definitely is a shade that you've got to build up. So the fluffy brush is not the best way to go. I have this Alexandra.a.antis. It's just labeled as a shadow brush. I usually use it under my lower lash line because it's a little dense, but it's fluffy enough I can blend out with. I'm going to go in with that green and we're going to stamp it in because I am having a hard time building this up. Now, I did watch some reviews from different people on this collection. I don't think anybody hated the palette. Most people seem to like it, but they were mostly using the reds. So it could be that those work better. I'm going to assume, let's hope that they do, because I'm having a hard time with the green. I'm using the initial brush that I used in the outer corner. This is not a fluffy brush shade at this level for me, just because of how not pigmented it was. Okay, we got some pigment there. It was a little bit of a journey. I'm just taking that down into, and I cleaned it off on my towel just so that I can get some color down in my inner part here. A little bit, maybe. Okay, and I'm gonna go in with the fluffy brush on the edge. I think I have a little bit on it. It's just that green shade is not, it's not the best. And it could be, I have to look if this says pressed pigment or eyeshadow palette on it, because it could be that that's some sort of a pigment and not an eyeshadow, but usually pressed pigments have more pigmentation in them. So I don't know. I'm just trying to be kind here. Let's see. I kind of want to try this Alive But Dead. It's just a tan. Light camel brown. It is, that's got some pigment in it, and that's kind of what I was worried about. I don't want it to overtake the green per se, but yeah, I think it's just a formulation. I would say the cream color is probably better to go in with what I was doing. That tan shade was too pigmented for that. We're gonna go back into the green here. We're getting somewhere, but you can see the process to get a look. I just figured I would show kind of what that looks like. I'm gonna make the other eye match. Okay, so this is pretty close, I think, to, you know, one another, as close as I'm gonna get it. Let's do the brow bone before I forget. I think I got a brush out. I did. I'm just going to use a little fluffy angled brush and Elm Street, which is that champagne shimmer that I swatched. I don't have my contacts in either. Usually I do when I film, but I was too lazy to put them back in. I filmed earlier today and took them out, washed my face, did all that stuff, and then was like, oh, sit and fiddle with this palette finally. I've had it sitting on my desk for a week, so here we are. I was able to get a pretty look, not the easiest shade to work with at all, not user-friendly. If you are not someone that has a patience or skill at blending, I would stay away from that shade if you pick this up or if you own it, just because there was a lot of spots when I was blending where it looked like it was separated, almost like you could see a harsh line in pigmentation, so I would have to reapply and blend and reapply, and it was a process, but we got here. Okay, so I don't know what I want to do on the lid. Let's go in with some NYX glitter glue and just a flat brush. This is a Crown 170-2. I have a Morphe brush with the same number. It's just M. Morphe does not make that brush anymore. Crown still makes these. They're like $2 a piece. They're just little, like, flat. Not quite. They're not exactly the same as the Morphe, but they're pretty close. So I'm going to say it was probably one of the brushes when Morphe was private labeling from Crown. Just because the number from Crown still exists. And Morphe got rid of theirs. I kind of like Stay Up Late. It's a gold, but it's got a little bit of a pink undertone. We'll put that on. I don't know if it's a true duochrome. Yeah, because it's got a little bit of a shift, like gold to a pink. So we'll use that one. And it's swatched decent. I don't know if that's one. I don't think I swatched that one initially. We're gonna, what is it called? Stay Up Late. I am getting some kick up. I didn't really have any fallout from the green, so that part was nice, especially as many times as I had to dip in. Now I wasn't digging in, so you can see, like, I'm barely, like, you probably can't even tell that I used it. So if you dug in a little bit harder, potentially you could have gotten more pigment. I didn't want to make a mess. I don't mind going back and forth, kind of a thing. This is not like the most impressive shimmer I've ever. This is like a traditional shimmer formula, nothing to write home about. I mean, it looks fine. It's not as shiny, metallic, sparkly like as I would like it. I made a little bit of a mess. That kind of went all over. What do I want to do on the outer edge? I don't see, because there's no other greens. I'm gonna grab the Rudolph palette from ColourPop. Okay, and I'm gonna use, there's a green shimmer in here just to sandwich. I'm just gonna show you color stories. It's just funny because they are Nightmare on Elm Street colors, but you can see, like, you could change the packaging. Like, you could put Santa Claus and you'd have yourself a Christmas palette. I'm going to use this Elf Practice shade from ColourPop just with my finger because we have a matte green and there's no other greens in here. So if I'm, yes, technically I'm cheating here, but I don't have another shimmer with this that I would like to use that would help me at all, because I generally like to take a second shimmer just in this outer part. It helps with the blend. This is a pretty warm leaning palette, so the one green can be challenging to use for sure, and this is not the easiest shade to blend. I'm just going a little bit farther in, and then I'm actually going to take Christmas Time. It's the matte from the ColourPop palette. It's a little bit lighter in tone. Definitely a better formula, and I'm going to go back in with that Christmas Tree shade. You can use any green you want. I just needed to help blend that outer part. I think that looks better. I'm going to make the eyes match. Okay, I'm going to let my eyes kind of calm down for a second. I don't know. This happened to me earlier when I was doing my waterline. My eyes started watering uncontrollably. This is what happens when you don't wear makeup for a long time. I just went in with a ColourPop liner in my waterline. This one's called Teaspoon. I don't know if they still make this shade. I did hear that these ColourPop liners, you can get them at Target where they sell the ColourPop now. I don't know what colors they have, but if you can get, I know you can get these at Ulta too in the ColourPop section. They're really good. I have several shades, so whatever they've got, if you need to add some colored liners, I would pick up whatever colors they have. Oh, okay, I just did green because I think I'm going to go in with gold. So I thought it would give a nice contrast. So Used a little bit of the Rudolph palette. Like I said, I'm sure I know that's cheating, but you got to do what you got to do to make it work. Okay, I'm trying to make sure we're not like running. Okay, I'm going to use I'll Be Your Nightmare, this kind of bronzy one. And then if I need to blend it out, I'll use a little bit of He's Coming, which is the peach shade. I was going to do red on the bottom, but that's going to look super Christmassy. So I decided not to do that. So we're going to use that little brush that I had to use to stamp the green in. I like doing shimmers on my lower lash line. For one, I like sparkle, so I like a super like sparkly eye look. And two, because my eyes water so bad, a metallic, because most metallics can be used, metallics and glitters and shimmers can be used wet, it kind of holds up better than if I was doing a matte. I'm just going in with an even denser brush than that first one. And then I'll use our other brush to blend this out. I just felt like I wasn't getting enough pigment. Now keep in mind, this is going on to a set base. I have concealer, but I do have powder. I have in the past gone in with a little bit of primer under my eyes or glitter glue. I have done that in the past. I just didn't feel like I needed to right now, and then it's not wanting to adhere. I normally don't have an issue with it not sticking. I am getting a lot of fallout from that. And then this eye is running, which it's actually holding up better on that side just because my eye is running really bad. Whew, I think some of it's just allergies, and then when you don't wear makeup for a long time, your body's like, what are you doing? And then I have dog hair all over everything. We have 3 dogs. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of that peach shade just to help kind of blend under here. I did have problems with it sticking to the under my eye on this side. It's not doing it so much on this side because it's running and it got wet. But the other side for sure was not happy. I think I got too much too on my brush. Yeah, it's an interesting shade, and I don't hate the formula, but I've definitely had some issues. So let me go in with one last thing. I have a little baby pencil brush, and I'm going to use that champagne shade again. And we'll see. I don't know why that doesn't look... It's swatched pretty good. It's not as reflective. I probably have a champagne highlighter. I mean, I know I do. I'm going to go in with a little bit of Ray Ryder from Kaleidos, just because I'm having trouble. It could be this brush. I think if I went in with a flatter brush, maybe it would have been better, but I don't know. And like I said, this is an older palette. It's not brand new. She still has it on sale. She's just trying to get rid of the units that she's got left. So formulas do break down and degrade over time, and it may just be that it's not, oh, my nose, it's not holding up as well. And it may have been like this from the get-go. You'll have to let me know. I am going to put some mascara on, maybe some liner, and we'll come back and I'll give you final. Okay, I did not put mascara on yet. My eye is still watering up, so I figured I would hold off. I did fiddle around with the lid. I don't know if you can tell. I have this Urban Decay Stone Vibes palette. I really like the shimmers in here. Not everybody did. I actually went in with Tiger's Eye right here. It looks like that. It's the same tone, it just has more sparkle, and I put some of that on. And then I actually, there's a green in here called Jade, and I used a little bit of that in the outer corner. I don't know if you can tell if it made a difference. I feel like it added a little bit more sparkle. I was going to go in with a liquid like glitter liner because I do have a gold, and I figured I would just tap a little bit of that on instead. I think it would have worked better if I had gone back in with another glitter layer of like glitter glue, but I didn't want to mess around with it. I'll do that for next time. But if you have this, you can definitely use that. And then I did pull the matte green and Christmas tree and a little bit of elf practice. So if you have this palette too, you can use that. Let's talk about the palette. Again, I love the packaging, 10 out of 10. I even think it's cute with the splatters on the inside. And I don't hate the color story of this. Like I said, it's, if you even just like ignore the glitter and removed this little quad, it's a nice neutral palette. I do like how deep this shade is. Like I was able to build it up and it looks really pretty. It's kind of forest green. It was difficult. You watched the struggle, and it doesn't feel bad and it doesn't swatch bad. But like I said, I wasn't digging in super hard. I mean, it doesn't swatch great, which isn't surprising after seeing, I think I just got glitter in there, but that's all right. I'm just curious about Dream Demon, which is the other deep shade. This again does feel dry. I've noticed some of these burgundy shades. We'll just use the Manny MUA palette from Makeup Geek, had one of these. And I actually bought I bought a copy, like not a copy of it. I bought the palette off of Poshmark. It's an older palette. This shade in it turned, like completely was not usable. So I don't know, something with these cranberry shades when they get a little bit older, they do get dry. Now that one swatched better than the green. So that one may be a little bit easier to use. You definitely have more staining. Different shades, you're going to have different things that are used for the pigment. Let me know if you want to see another look and I can play with the reds and use some of the shades that we didn't use today. I used the green, a teeny little bit of this, and then I went in with the cream shade to help blend it out. I used this copper shade, which that didn't want to stick under my eyes really well. And then I used this peachier shade. And oh, and then we used Stay Up Late on the lid. But let me know if you want to see another look. I can definitely play with this again. Like I said, I don't hate this palette. It's definitely not the worst formula I ever used, but it's not, that green was not a user-friendly color at all. Like beginner friendly, not necessarily user friendly. Beginner friendly, not a beginner friendly shade. But I was able to get there. I don't dislike this look. I do think it's funny because it doesn't really look like there's much on my lower lash line. So that I'll Be Your Nightmare shade, while it is technically a metallic, is very close to my skin tone. So you can't really see it. The other option would have been for me to go into like Live But Dead, but again with the green, I didn't want it to look super Christmassy, so we went this route. But yeah, let me know. It's just okay. I'm glad I didn't pay full price for it. I would have been really mad if I had paid full price and had the struggle that I did, but for what I paid for it, it was fine. It's sad that it was around the same price as a ColourPop palette, and I have a better time with those. So yeah, let me know if you want to see me use this again. I definitely can. If not, it will probably just sit in with my horror palettes, and I'll just keep it forever and it'll just be there. Thank you guys so much for being here and playing with me. I figured I would kind of show you what the process looks like when I'm testing out new palettes. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Again, make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, and hopefully I will see you all in another video. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye everybody.